This is my third attempt at recording an intro for this update. I'm sitting on the curb outside my workstation waiting for my ride home, and other carriers coming back from their routes keep stopping to ask if I'm okay, which is kind and comforting and, warm and fuzzy and all that, but it also has been interrupting the flow of my thoughts. Not to mention putting me behind time, so chances are good I won't actually get finished before my ride arrives. So it's every day's 11. I'm K.O. Myers. Being upfront about the fact that I started recording without really having any idea what I was going to talk about. So I thought I would take a moment to acknowledge the fact that the world is a scary, scary place right now. The Trump administration is speedrunning authoritarianism. I personally think trying to get a full-on autocracy in place before Donald Trump's brains completely leak out of his ears. But I also wanted to take a moment to put it in historical context. I have listened to two conversations recently that I think are worth paying attention to. One was Ta-Nehisi in conversation with Ezra Klein, at least theoretically talking about Klein's post in the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's murder, but really talking more broadly about politics and how the Democrats are doing it in a way that Klein doesn't like, and how he thinks maybe we need to broaden our ideas of who is acceptable to work with. Yep, there's my ride. We'll pick this up again in a little bit. I have actually been going back and forth between recording these in my little home podcasting setup and in my mail truck while I'm on my lunch break, which should not be seen to imply any sort of support or endorsement from the United States Postal Service. I'm sure they would just as soon disown my opinions. So anyway, as I was saying, Klein believes that these are unprecedented times and that we need to do whatever we can to get back into power in order to protect vulnerable people. But the way he suggests that we do that seems to be in some way to make compromises and work with people who don't share all of our values if they are close enough, and maybe throwing some vulnerable people under the bus in the process. The other conversation that I listened to today was the writer Jamelle Bouie talking to Micah Lowinger of the On the Media podcast, generally just sort of about his writing and his thoughts on why we shouldn't fear the Trump administration as much as we maybe do. Both Bouie and Coates made similar points that this level of fear and trust and antagonism from the government and political violence is really only unprecedented for white people, that the experience of black people particularly have featured all kinds of authoritarianism and antagonism and political violence. And so I wanted to offer that as a coda. Whenever you hear anyone say that nothing like this has ever happened in the history of our country, or this is not who we are, or this shouldn't happen here, it shouldn't, but it has. And the only difference is this time it's happening to a far bigger swath of the population. And so while that doesn't make it any less frightening for those of us for whom it's new, it's still, I think, worth thinking about the fact that it's not new for everyone. And if people who were subjected to enslavement and lynching and Jim Crow and all of the historical crimes that have been wrought upon African Americans can keep showing up, can keep voting, can keep organizing, can keep pushing to perfect the vision of justice for all and equality under the law, then the rest of us should too. And I say that just as much as a reminder for myself as anyone else, because I do find it hard to not despair. And even though I know it's not unprecedented for everyone, it still feels new and novel and scary for me and folks like me. And so I'm trying to keep in mind that it's only new to me because of who I am, and that we need to be present and active and not bending the knee in this moment. So that's what's on my mind today. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you again soon.